So one of the main reasons I came to Thailand was to try and find Wise watches. Unfortunately, their main office was closed whilst I was here because they're off doing a show in New York, but that still left a couple of their boutiques available, including here in Pattaya at this big shopping centre sort of mall called Terminal 21. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches. And just check out this shopping mall. There's 6 floors of very much location-based sort of themes. Like the ground floor is Paris, and you can see there is an Eiffel Tower that's 5 or 6 floors tall, which is absolutely amazing. One floor is Tokyo, one floor is Rome, one floor is San Francisco. Yeah, it's very themed. Even the shops within the sort of different levels are themed to the floor themes. Yeah, I just had to get a little bit of footage of this because it's quite amazing just how large it is. And I'm guessing you never saw a Ginza station next to a Leaning Tower of Pisa. Now, the Pisa is a little bit smaller than the Eiffel Tower. I think it's about 2 or 3 stories tall, but that's still very impressive. In fact, this store itself, this whole place, is so impressive that it kind of feels like a theme park that you can just walk around. Lots of things to see, but I'm not here specifically to see all this weird and fun stuff, including those full-size aircraft out the front. I think there was 3 full-size commercial jets which have been placed like sort of pieces of artwork almost. But I'm here to find Wise watches, a Thai brand that I've owned one watch from before that I've heard so many positive things about, but something that I've just wanted to get hands on with all of their different range because there's a bunch of them that I like. And as you enter this floor, you can see that there are quite a few stalls, including Casio there and then Garmin and bits and pieces. But as you'll see just there, we've got Wise watches. And Wise Watches were kind enough to let me do some filming of both this sort of stall here and all the individual watches as well. And I was very keen to get hands-on with, well, 2 models were specifically what I really want to get hands-on with, but I was trying to get hands-on with everything, and that's what I've been able to do today. Now, the watches that I show you today, most of them are covered in plastic, so please excuse that. So you can't see the watches as perfectly as I would have liked to, but it probably would have been a bit rude for me to say, hey, can you unwrap all these watches? So instead, I've just tried to get as much footage of the cases as they're displayed, showing all the different versions of the watches, the different dial colors of the watches, but then also get some close-in footage of some of the specific models, like this sort of Garda version watch that they had. Now, this wasn't one that I was specifically trying to target, but I really wanted to get hands-on with all of the different versions since they were kind enough to let me sort of take each one out of the case to give you a bit of close-up footage of them. This one, I have to say, was the standout in regards to sort of dial colors because it sort of came with this sort of Tiffany blue, but then there was red versions and I think yellow versions. So it had some nice sort of just everyday sort of wearing, but also a little bit of a dressy feel to it, but the sort of quality that I expected since I've already owned one of these and sort of know what the Wise watch quality is. But one of the ones that I did want to get hands-on with, well, was the Flyboy on the right there. And I'm going to get hands-on with that one shortly, but before I do, there was another one which the girl behind the counter actually handed to me because she wanted me to see it. And there's the top one there in the sort of the poster, but I want to show you the casing a little bit more just to see all the different variations of it. It also gives you a good sort of understanding of the packaging that the watches come in as well, because I think they're probably some of the best watch boxes and packages that watches come in compared to any other watch that I've experienced. The boxes are lovely. The sort of the thought behind them are really good. They are interesting and then they are different as well. I know the Azuma, which I have previously owned, came in this most incredible packaging, but I was handed this particular watch and it was probably not the one specifically that I was targeting either, but it was actually quite nice to get hands-on with this one just to see the sort of texture on the dial, how it played with the light, and also the sizing of it, because this one had a really nice sort of on wrist size onto my 17 centimeter wrist. And guys, I'm not sure if you're aware, but I upload 3 videos per week. I do it because I love it, and I don't ask anything from you. I don't ask you to be Patreons and give me money money. I don't ask you to be part of any memberships. I don't try to sell merch or any of those sorts of things, but I do ask, could you possibly subscribe? It really is beneficial to me, the channel, and really does motivate me, and it then lets me do things like this, like see this Azura, then the grey version. The one I owned was the burgundy version, which I absolutely love, but it was really nice to see this grey version too. I think this one is actually probably one of the standout watches in their collection from their design and the details. You can see those curved lugs, really does stand out. This is one of their newer models. I think they're just coming out with a brand new model now as well, which I don't think I got to see. But yeah, the Azura I think is quite special. They tend to use 904 stainless steel as well, which is similar to another well-known model or well-known brand beyond what we sort of normally get with the 316L stainless steel. I have to admit, in sort of ownership of them, I didn't really notice any difference, but it's nice that there's that sort of point of difference from these guys that they've chosen to do that. And I think definitely one of the big things about this brand, which not only have I experienced, but other people have said, is just the sheer quality finishing for the price. This was actually one of the ones that I really wanted to get hands on with. This reminds me a lot of more of maybe like a vintage Grand Seiko, but certainly at a much more affordable price, and it was really nice quality, exactly what I expected. It ended up being a little bit bigger than I expected though, which is interesting. I wasn't expecting it to sit this big. It's not a big watch by any means, but slightly bigger than I expected. But this one had to be my number one that I had to get hands on with. Probably their most popular by far, their GMT Diver. And what came as a big surprise to me about this one is that it felt a little bit more refined, luxury and delicate than I expected. I think I've seen pictures of this one and I've seen so many reviews of this one, and I sort of looked at it as a diver, so I assumed it had a little bit of a, I don't know, not chunky, but a bit of weight to it and a little bit of sort of wrist presence, but it's actually quite almost sort of delicate without being big or without being small or anything like that. It just had a very luxury feel to it. But I think it's this one. I think it's their sort of Pilot sort of chronograph. Well, it's not a chronograph. It features a Miyota movement, which has an interesting complication, but it's actually probably the one that I think stands out to me most, even beyond that GMT sort of diver, which I do like that one. But there was also this other Flyboy Pilot style watches, and I do love Pilot style watches, so it was nice to be able to then get hands on with that one as well. And there's quite a few colors in that particular range, like this sort of burgundy, which I thought was very cool. Funnily enough, I think the standout feature of this one for me was twofold. Firstly, the hands. I really liked the hands on this watch. It was really nice. And just that sort of separation between the colors and just how the texture is on that sort of inner part of the dial, it was really nice too. Also, sat really nicely on wrist. Yeah, like a really nice fit onto my 17 centimeter wrist. Quite impressed by that. But it was nice to then go and see all the other watches that they had too. This is almost their entire range, which is really nice to be able to see all in one place. Obviously, these guys, you very rarely get to see them at all, let alone their entire range. So unless you come to Thailand, to a place like this, or go to a show which they're displaying, it's hard to get hands on with it. But this, I think this has turned out to be my favorite of their entire range. This is the 9000 series Miyota, which it looks a little bit like a chronograph, but it's not. It is in fact actually those are the sort of date and day complications, just featured in a slightly different way, which is actuated by the crown and then that one pusher there. But I just liked the design. And that probably shouldn't surprise anybody if you know me, because I do like pilot watches and this generalized sort of style, but definitely there was something special about this one. And I know they did a special edition version of this in bronze as well, which I thought looked quite cool, but I think that was a limited edition and they didn't have any of them there. But if you do end up coming to this Terminal 21, as you can see, different types of themes and even these large interesting statues, but it's actually worth checking out purely just for the location and all the bits and pieces. I think there are a couple of them, but if you are in Pattaya, down just about an hour or two south of Bangkok, it's worth coming down just to check this out. But of course, there's other stuff to do here as well. And guys, thank you so much for coming along for this ride for me today. I do certainly appreciate it. And I do have a couple other watch related videos that you might want to watch next.